When you think of The Fault in Our Stars, you probably remember one thing: the tears. But what if the book's real purpose isn't just to make us sad, but to teach us something huge about how we tell the story of our own pain? On the surface, yeah, it seems pretty simple. It's a tragic love story about two teenagers with cancer. It's heartbreaking, for sure. And for a lot of people, that's kind of where the analysis stops. But that's not the whole story. Not even close. So today we're going to dig a little deeper. We're going to explore how this story is engineered, not just to make us cry, but to make us think about how we frame our own lives, especially when things get tough. It's really a story about storytelling itself. Okay, so let's start by pushing past that simple teen romance label and look at what this story is actively trying to tear down. The main characters, Hazel and Augustus, are basically allergic to cancer stereotypes. They can't stand the empty, feel-good cliches they hear at their support group, and they fight back with this super sharp, sarcastic wit. The book just refuses to paint them as these brave little heroes or tragic victims. Instead, it shows them as they are, complex, funny, and painfully real teenagers. To really get what makes this story tick, we need a kind of framework for how people talk about being sick. And for that, we can turn to the work of a sociologist named Arthur W. Frank. He came up with 3 core ways, or narratives, that people use to talk about suffering.
First up is the restitution narrative. Now, this is the one we all know. It's the default story of modern medicine, the confident march towards a cure. It's basically a get-well-soon card in story form. Illness is just, a temporary detour, and the goal is always to get back to normal life.
Then you have the complete opposite, the chaos narrative. This is where illness just destroys everything. There's no order, no control, the body feels like a traitor, life loses its plot, and there's no clear way forward. It's the story of just being completely and totally overwhelmed. And that brings us to the third one, the quest narrative. This one reframes the whole experience. Illness isn't an endpoint. It's a journey that has its own purpose. The goal isn't to get back to the life you had before. It's about finding new meaning right here in this reality and turning all that suffering into some kind of insight. So let's break this down. The really crucial point is that these aren't just stories people tell. They're different ways of living through an illness. Each one gives you a different role. You can be a patient, just waiting to be fixed. You can be a victim, lost in the storm, or you can be a storyteller, trying to make some sense of the whole journey. All right, so how does The Fault in Our Stars actually use these ideas? Well, the book is brilliant at weaving all 3 of them together, showing us how the characters kind of drift between them. I mean, the book pulls no punches when it comes to the chaos narrative. We see the raw, unfiltered reality of it in some of the story's toughest moments. It doesn't shy away from the physical and emotional wreckage that a terminal illness can leave behind. Just think about that awful scene at the gas station with Augustus. Here's a guy who is obsessed with control and being heroic, and he's just completely undone by his failing body. He's forced to rely on Hazel in this moment of just total vulnerability. Everything he built his identity on just shatters, and all that's left is the raw chaos of his illness. And Hazel goes through her own version of this when her lungs fill with fluid and she's hospitalized. The physical pain becomes so intense that it almost wipes out her will to live. It's such a brutal rejection of that idea that sick people have to be inspiring all the time. Sometimes pain is just pain. But here's the thing, they don't stay in that chaos. They are constantly pushing back, trying to build a new story for themselves. Their trip to Amsterdam, their whole obsession with finding the author Peter Van Houten, it's all part of this active quest to find answers, to find some kind of meaning. And that quest brings them face to face with one of life's biggest questions. What does it actually mean to live a meaningful life, especially when you know it's going to be a short one? Initially, their philosophies are in total opposition. Augustus is terrified of being forgotten. He wants a big, heroic life that leaves a mark on the world. Hazel, though, sees herself as a grenade. She just wants to limit the damage when she inevitably explodes. And this conflict is the real heart of the story. Is it better to live big or to live carefully? But you see Augustus start to change his tune. In a final letter, he realizes that this huge human desire to leave a legacy is, well, it's both natural and kind of absurd. He sees that all our desperate attempts to leave a mark are really just primal instincts, and there's no guarantee they'll do any more good than harm. And Hazel's grenade metaphor, that's her entire operating system. It's such a powerful symbol of her deep-seated fear of hurting the people she loves.
For her, living a good life means not adding to the suffering that's already in the world.
So, in the end, the story doesn't really pick a side. Instead, it blends these two opposing views into this really profound conclusion about love and suffering.
The story doesn't offer us an escape from pain. It doesn't promise a cure or a life without hurt. Instead, it basically says we have to feel it. We have to acknowledge its presence in our lives as just a fundamental truth of being alive.
And this is it. This is the ultimate takeaway, the synthesis of their entire journey. We can't avoid getting hurt in this world. That's a given. But we have agency. We can choose the people, the loves, the causes that are worth the pain that will inevitably come. That choice, that's where we find meaning. So the story lands on this incredibly powerful idea. It's not about leaving a grand legacy or trying to minimize your impact. A meaningful life is about the connections you forge. And maybe being a hero isn't about avoiding scars, but about choosing who gets to give them to you. And that leaves us with a final, really provocative thought, turning the lens away from the book and back onto our own lives. When we face our own challenges, big or small, what kind of story are we telling? Is it a story of restitution, of chaos, or are we on a quest to find meaning?